Hello, world, and welcome back to Real Talk with ReZsaun, where nothing's off limits. I am your host, ReZsaun Lewis. Now, here on Real Talk, everything's debatable. So, on any given week, we could be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. You name it, we'll discuss it. Now, let's get it cracking. Yeah. Hope you guys are having a great day today. Really excited about tonight's show. It's a lot to talk about. It's been a while since we've done the show, so I want to thank you guys for joining me again. You don't have to do it. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Yeah, man. What's up, Pop? I see you. What up, Tyrese? What up, Mike? All right, Edie's in the building. What's going on, man? Yeah. So let's talk. Yeah. Haha. All right. So, just to get it started, for those who are new to the show, I break down the show into sections. The first part of the show is current events and topics. I follow that up normally with a relationship or a family segment, and then I also do a call-in segment where the audience is allowed to call in and give me their opinions, thoughts, concerns about what's going on in the world. But I want to go ahead and get it started with a nice discussion. And thank you to everybody who's joined tonight. I am ReZsaun Lewis, and this is Real Talk with ReZsaun. I want to start off with a softball tonight. We're talking about some NBA talk. So, for those who are fans of the NBA, you know that since last time we've done the show, a lot's happened. We've had the NBA draft. We've also had free agency begin. And the biggest news in free agency, of course, is that guy who used to play in Cleveland deciding to go to play in L.A. So now we have L.A. LeBron James. Now, for those who don't know, I am a fan of LeBron, but I'm not like what they call those guys, bronze sexuals or whatever it is that like defend him at all costs. Like, I'm not one of those guys, but I am definitely a LeBron fan. And I'm interested in seeing what happens with LeBron in LA. That is big news. Just because of the fact that the LA Lakers as a franchise have done so much over the course of time. We know them to have won 17 NBA championships, and now they take the team that they had last year, a team that didn't make 500%, and add LeBron James to it. That's pretty amazing. But I don't know what to expect. I don't think that they're going to beat the Warriors, so I don't know what to expect there. So I mean, you may possibly feel differently and think that they have a chance, but I am not sure that they do. How you doing, Tia? What's up, cuz? What up, G Ray? Yeah, but I don't see them having much of a chance this season. But LeBron James going to LA definitely was a move that I saw as a high possibility, considering the things that he wanted to be able to do after basketball. He is looking, if you don't know, he has been executive producing several TV shows and doing things of that nature that would make his interest when he's picking a team much larger than just being about basketball. So when I saw that he chose the Lakers, it was not a complete shock to me. I thought it was a good chance that was happening. So more power to him. I guess he did what he felt was right for him and his family. I'm pretty sure the city of Cleveland didn't love that a whole bunch. But, sometimes you got to break eggs and make an omelet, as I always say. The Warriors are definitely still going to beat the Lakers. I'm pretty sure, like, unless some things happen. Now, if they get Kawhi, that could make things interesting. But I still don't think LeBron James with Kawhi Leonard beats the Warriors. Like, the Warriors are a really, really good team. And for those who have not heard my take on the Warriors, in my opinion, is actually probably the greatest assemblance of talent in NBA history. And that's saying a lot. If you look at those Jordan teams, I don't think any of those Michael Jordan teams would have been able to beat the Warriors. Not in this climate of basketball where the rules are the way they are. I definitely think that Jordan's teams would have been able to beat them. I know there are a lot of people who would disagree with me on that take, but I mean, that team is really good. Like, look at the fact, that's another thing. They added DeMarcus Cousins this year, right? So now they have DeMarcus Cousins, who's a top 5-10 player at worst, a top 10 player, and then add him to the team with the shooting and with the defensive capabilities that the Warriors had. It's going to be really hard for any team to beat that team 4 out of 7 games. It's just, I don't see it happening. It could happen. Things are possible, but I don't foresee it happening. Who's that? Let me see who's that talking. Laura. Lori. All right, Lori says so. Let's see. Warriors still gonna beat the Lakers? Yeah, I mean, I think the Warriors still gonna beat the Lakers. That wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't. That's not something that I don't think you're really going out on a limb by saying that. I think definitely that it's definitely a possibility that's going to happen. I think that the Warriors are just a better team than the Lakers, so that's why I think that is. But I think that the Warriors are also a better team than most teams in the NBA. And again, not just the NBA this year, but in NBA history. I don't think that there's been a team in NBA history as a talent that is as good as this Warrior team is. This Warrior team is pretty amazing. Add DeMarcus Cousins to what I already thought was one of the greatest teams in NBA history talent-wise, and I don't see how you beat them. LeBron, add Kawhi. It can make it interesting, but it's not a whole lot that you're going to be able to do there. I would also add this. The big question for me with this LeBron going to the West thing is, who becomes the best player in the East? Is it the Greek Freak? Is it DeRozan now? Is it John Wall? Is it Kyrie? Like, who becomes that next best player who dominates the East? Because for the last 8 years now, people have been telling me that LeBron has only been dominating the East because the East has been weak. So that means that because LeBron is only dominating because the East has been weak, that means there should be somebody else who can come up and take over the East and dominate it for this amount of time. I don't foresee that happening. I'm just saying. All right. I don't see that happening. I think that you're going to see that the East is going to become a cluster of teams that are really okay. They're going to be pretty decent. What about OKC once they dump Melo? I don't think OKC can beat the Warriors. I don't think any team in the NBA can beat the Warriors. Can they be better? Definitely, but I don't think that you think Jason Tatum's going to be the best player in the league, Kevin? That's what's up. Giannis could do it, right? He got to learn how to shoot. The kid can't shoot, guys. And when you can't shoot, it makes it really difficult for you to be a best player in the NBA. Even though LeBron at the beginning of his career could not shoot that well, LeBron's field goal percentage has gotten better year after year after year in his career, to the point where his last few years have been his best years as a shooter. So, but by the time he became like the best player in the league, which was about 2009, 2010, about 2008, 2009, 2010, 2010. By that point, like, LeBron was already a decent shooter by 2010. He wasn't great, but he was definitely decent in that way. So if you have any more comments about the NBA season, please put them down in the comments. Embiid could be one of the Wade will not be. Dwayne Wade will not, Mark. He will not. Embiid definitely has a chance, Mike. Embiid might be the answer, honestly. Boston will be a better team next year. I mean, Boston definitely will be a better team next year. You bring back a Kyrie and a Gordon Hayward to that team that they already had, and that's a pretty good team. The question is, can they score enough consistently? And I don't think they can. I really don't. I wanted to do this as well. Just transitioning. I wanted to do this because I haven't done a show since this happened. But RIP to Joe Jackson. He's a patriarch of the Jackson family. That's, feel how you feel about the way he treated Michael and the kids. But that man pushed his children to be the best versions of themselves. We all may not agree with his methods. We may not agree with the way he did it. But that man, by pure force of will alone, I would say by pure force of will alone, made sure that his family never had to worry about a meal. And to me, that is what a father is supposed to do. I'm probably going to be talking more about fathers later on because I haven't done a show since Father's Day. I don't think I've done a show since Father's Day. So I'll probably end on that. But Joe Jackson, man, he did what fathers are supposed to do. He raised his children to be men. He raises his children to be able to earn a living, to be respectable individuals, and to make a positive name for the family and to carry on the family legacy in a positive way. So RIP to Joe Jackson. Again, I know everybody doesn't love Joe Jackson, the way he treated Michael, and he beat the kids and that whole thing. But that man, by pure force of nature, made sure that his family would never have to worry about a meal. I can't be mad at that. As a father, I'm pretty sure there's some things that I do with my kids that you may be like, you know what, I wouldn't put my kids through that. True, they're not your kids. But I know one day that my kids will be able to look back and say, my dad was hard on me, but my dad was there for me. And my dad made sure that I had the tools that I needed to be successful. For better or for worse, he made sure I had the tools. So shout out to Joe Jackson, R.I.P. to Joe Jackson. Shout out to Jackson family. If you watch Real Talk ReZsaun, thank you, Jackson family. Also, I'm always looking for sponsors, so I'd love to be a Jackson family sponsor. But for real, man, prayers for their family and prayers for what they had to deal with as a family, losing the patriarch of their family and losing the person who was able to give them that push that they needed to be successful as adults and as entertainers and as human beings. So shout out to them for that. I'm going to transition to another topic. This is Real Talk with ReZsaun. I am the host, ReZsaun Lewis. I want to pause by saying thank you to those who bought Real Talk with ReZsaun shirts. It meant so much to me. I'm going to move the mic out the way. They came in. I love these shirts, right? So I love these shirts. To me, these shirts are so dope. These shirts are the first of many opportunities that you will have to sow into the Lou Legacy LLC, which is a company that I started to house a lot of things that I'll be doing. I can talk more about that later on in the show. But thank you for those who bought the shirts. If you have ordered a shirt and it has already come in the mail, please take a picture with your shirt. If you could take a picture, I'd appreciate that. If you could do a small video saying why you support the show, I'd appreciate that as well. But if nothing else, thank you for supporting this, man. If you didn't get an opportunity to purchase a shirt this time and you're interested, let me know. I may do a second order if there's enough demand. But I want to make sure that there's enough demand before I put out another order for it. And I need a minimum of 13 shirts to order. So, yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the next topic. What's up, B? What's up, Mr. Joe? Mark, I see you, Mike. Hey, Mom. So, yeah. So I'm going to move on to my next topic. My next topic is going to be about what I'm calling Poolside Paul. I'm pretty sure this guy's already got another name, but there's a video that's out there. I'm going to pull up the link about this guy here because this guy here has been really troublesome to me because there's a whole video, right? So I'm not even going to post the link. You can find the link. Poolside Paul. This guy here, right? We've had our situations right here in the Charleston area about pools and about racism and about all those things, which we've discussed in detail. By the way, if you haven't already, please share this out. Let people know that we are discussing these topics. This is Real Talk ReZsaun. I'm the host, ReZsaun Lewis. But this guy was at his neighborhood pool, and an African-American lady comes in. She had an accent, so it sounds like she was from somewhere else. I'm not sure where she was from, maybe Jamaica, one of the islands. But she's walking into the pool, and this gentleman accosts her about where she lives. Now, as somebody who lives in a neighborhood with a homeowners association and a pool that I pay for, I can promise you this. I don't go to the pool often. But Lord knows, if I was to walk to my pool, use my key card to get in, and somebody stopped me to ask me, where do I live in my neighborhood? Yeah, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And I'm going to tell you, and for those who don't understand why this is a problem, because maybe there are some of you out there who don't understand, like, he's just making sure that the community is safe from. Let me tell you why it's a problem. Because I promise you, he did not ask every single person who had a key card who walked into that pool if they lived in the neighborhood. That's when it becomes a problem. I can promise you that the people that he asked, because he said, I ask people all the time if they live in this neighborhood. I'm going to tell you when that becomes a problem. It becomes a problem when you are only asking a certain demographic of people these questions. When you're only asking African Americans or people who have a certain skin tone where they live in the neighborhood, that's being prejudiced, guys. Even if it's not racist, it's racism. It is. It is. What's up, Don? What's up, Juice? What's up, Sam? It is. There's no other way to call it. There's nothing else to call it. It's prejudice. It's bias. It's racism. even if you are not racist. That's another thing that people need to understand. You do not need to be a racist to practice racism. I'm going to say that again. You don't have to be a racist to practice racism. I do see that he lost his job, and I'm glad that he did. And honestly, and I've said this before on Real Talk with ReZsaun, I hope that one, I feel like people are entirely too comfortable with being entirely too racist. What's up, Pastor Thomas? Pastor Dixon. People are entirely too comfortable with being entirely too racist. And I hope that every single time one of these racist acts happen, because maybe the person may not be a racist, but they're definitely performing a racist act. When these racist acts happen, I hope every single time there's a camera that catches it and these people lose their jobs, hope they lose their friends, I hope they lose their livelihood until all of those people are weeded out and we realize this is not acceptable in this society. That's how we get to post-racial America. That's how post-racial America happens. That's how the America that President Obama, who, yes, I'm a fan of President Obama, fight me. Anyway, who President Obama hoped to see during his presidency was a post-racial America. That was the America that we lauded, that we were beginning to see with the election of our first African-American president. An America where people wouldn't be accosted for going into pools in neighborhoods that they pay HOA fees for. Because if I pay a homeowners association fee, I expect to be able to walk into my own pool without being asked. Do you live in this neighborhood? Why? You got a roster? Do you have a roster? Because I have a key card. Now, if I jump the fence to get in, okay, cool. Holla at me. But if I got a key card, come on, man. Let's see. Lori, thank you for watching, Lori. I don't know you, but thank you so much for watching. He lost his job for discrimination due to that video. Good for him. Heroes Lair. Unfortunately, we all have the potential to be racist. We've been trained that way. I agree. And I want to pause right there. I'm done. Thank you so much. And that's Heroes Lair. Shout out to Don Bogstad. If you ever need any woodworking done, holla at Don Bogstad. She's mad dope. Heroes Lair and Two Broken Hands. I know that's the name of the other one. I always forgot the name of the other one. But I want to pause right there. We all have the potential to be racist. We've been trained that way. Yes and no. Yes and no. And I'm going to tell you why I say yes and no. Because I don't define racism the way most people do, the way a lot of people do. To me, there's prejudice and there's racism, right? Prejudice and racism. All right, you can be prejudiced and not be a racist, because racism comes with a degree of power. Me being prejudiced against somebody means absolutely nothing. Like, I can even be prejudiced against you based on your race. If I don't have any power to inflict that upon you, then I'm not being racist. Now, as a teacher, I can be racist within my classroom. If I treat students that I'm prejudiced against a certain way, like their grades, their discipline, all those things, if I'm doing those things based on their race, that's racism. Me just not liking a person that I see walking down the street is not racism. All right? That is not racism. That's just me being prejudiced. That's me being stupid. But when you take that prejudice and you add power, that's racism. So I do believe that we all have the ability to be prejudiced. I believe that we have all been taught certain things that make us prejudiced against certain people for certain reasons, whether it be their race, whether it be their sex, their gender, whether it be their sexual orientation, whether it be their religion. We all have an ability to be prejudiced in that way. But the isms come in when you have power. The power to impact that person's life. Me not liking somebody based on something does not make me a racist, a sexist, or homophobe, or any of those things. So, yeah. Let me see. But I do agree that when we have the guts to admit that we all have the ability to be prejudiced, then we can start to change it. I definitely agree. Accountability over interest. Great comment, Mike. Let me see. James Johnson. I feel you, bro. But I disagree somewhat. If a person engages in racist acts, then doesn't that make them a racist? If a person engages in a criminal act, doesn't that make them a criminal? If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. Yes, great point, James. And thank you so much for sharing that. For those who don't know, James Johnson is a writer for the Charleston Chronicle, and I appreciate so much him joining this show. Thank you so much. I say that to say this. There are a lot of people who have prejudiced views who don't realize it until that moment happens. I've been speaking about this book by Malcolm Gladwell, Blink, for quite some time now, especially since I read it. Since I finished reading it. And he talks about thin slicing. And thin slicing is the ability to make snap decisions. The problem with thin slicing is this. When you thin slice, the things that are in you tend to come out. So if you're in a situation you have to make a snap decision, you're making a snap decision. If you have inherent prejudices towards people, then you're more likely to think negatively towards that person or towards that situation. If you inherently have positive inclinations towards those people or towards that situation, you're more likely to have a positive reaction to that situation or to that, if that makes any sense, right? So these people are put in these situations where they're thin slicing and that negativity comes out. Now, that person may not be a card-carrying, flag-waving racist who would march in Charlottesville with the white nationalists. That's not it. I mean, that may not be. But in that one situation, when he made a snap judgment, his inner prejudices came to light. So I don't think that necessarily made that person a racist person, but I definitely think it shows that he had a level of prejudice that needs to be explained. And I will say this also, that video that he posted, that apology that he gave, see, now I got to find a video. That apology that he gave was not acceptable. That apology that he gave was not acceptable. It was literally one of those if I offended you, I'm sorry. Apologies. Don't apologize for offending me. Don't apologize for offending me. Apologize because you know what you did was wrong. If you don't think what you did was wrong, then do not apologize. Feel how you feel. I want you to hit me with the Nene Leaks. I said what I said. Hit me with that. I said what I said. Stand on your 2 feet. If you're going to be a racist, if you're going to be prejudiced, stand on your 2 feet with it. Stand on your 2 feet with it. Own your stuff. Own your stuff. Let me go back. Joe Robinson, what's up, Mr. Joe? Black man, where you at? The majority of these confrontations are targeted to women or children. Do you think they would have approached her if she was if she was with her black man, or if a black man was present? I do not think he would have. I think he would have said something under his breath or something like that, but I do not think he would have approached him. I think that's cowardice on his part, and I'll leave that there. That's another thing. Racists tend to be cowards. They really do. Let's see. I agree with Joe Johnson. I do not believe he or nor most of the others would have approached a black man, but the way they approach these women or children, that potential threat level is too high for cowards to try. I gotta agree. I can't disagree there. But I also think that goes back to this idea of the fear of the black man. The fear of the black man. That in and of itself is his own topic. Why are we so afraid of black men? As a country. Randy, chill. It's my dog. Why are we so afraid of black men as a country? Black men are not overwhelmingly dangerous, guys. You know how I know? Because I'm a black man. And I deal with black men all the time. So this need to have this inherent fear of black men, it's unfounded. Do you know the most? Do you train? Yes, trained. This goes back to slavery times. where they would paint black men as ravenous, lust-filled animals. Ravenous, lust-filled animals, dangerous, murderers, rapists, killers. That's not the reality of black men. Randy was answering my question. I don't see Randy's comment. Where's Randy's comment? I don't see Randy's comment, Mom. I'm sorry. But that, like, I just, it's not right. It's not right. And we have to dispel that myth. We have to dispel that myth on so many levels. Black men are not dangerous. Black men are not any more dangerous than white men. We're not any more dangerous than black women. We're not any more dangerous than white women. We're not any more dangerous than Hispanic people. We're not any more dangerous than Asian people. We're not dangerous. We're human beings. And if we're provoked, we react like people react. And sometimes a very basic, hysterical. Yeah, you're right, Mom. A very basic reaction from an African-American male is taken so far over the top many times. I was going somewhere there and I lost my train of thought, so I'm gonna read some more comments. Great comments. It's a lie that we have to fight out of our brains. We do have to fight. Yes, it's a lie. How do we do that? We get to know each other. Thank you, Ms. Dawn. I love that comment. Right? And the more we get to know each other is the more we can learn to love one another. The more we know each other, the more we can love one another. But until we get to know each other, it's really hard for us to love one another. We're just those kind of people. Like, and I'm not talking about black people, I'm talking about all of us. We fear what we don't understand. And if we don't take the time to understand each other, we'll never love one another. But love is the answer. I believe that, man. I believe that love is the answer. I will always believe that love is the answer. If I die today or tomorrow, but because of a hate crime, I will still believe that love is the answer to all of our problems. Do you know why I believe that love is the answer? It's because that's what Christ called for us to do. And if we believe Christ to have all the answers, those of us who believe in Christ, then love is the answer. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. Let me see. Juice. Not even the black man. Look at these coward massacre shooters. They don't attempt they don't attempt these shootings at places where they know gun holders are likely to be. They only do it in endeavors where the gun holder percentage is likely in their favor. Absolutely. And I won't even talk about the fact that we continue to paint African-American men as these dangerous individuals who are dangerous to society and dangerous to, but we had the DC shooter who was an anomaly. But other than that, I mean, how many black mass shooters y'all seen? All right, I'm gonna just leave that there. So let's stop that, man. Let's stop with the lies. Let's learn to know each other. Let's learn to love one another. Let's do it. Let's make a commitment to that. Let's make a commitment to loving our brother as we love ourselves. Let's do that. And with that in mind, I'm going to transition over to something that I talked about on my page briefly, but I didn't really talk about on this show. And it's what's going on downtown Charleston. I'm going to give you guys the link for the situation with this young man downtown. There's a young man downtown Charleston who was arrested for selling roses. All right, he was arrested for selling roses. Well, sorry, I want to rephrase that because that's inherently false. He was arrested for assaulting a police officer. During the act of the thing that got the police called in the first place was him selling roses. So I want to talk about this. All right, so I want to talk about this situation with these boys. All right, so first of all, let's talk about the situation. All right, so there was a situation where a young man in downtown Charleston was arrested while in the process of selling roses without a permit. All right, but he wasn't arrested for selling roses. He was arrested. Thank you so much, Laurie. He was arrested for assaulting a police officer. So the situation was, first of all, there's an ordinance that requires young men who are selling the sweetgrass roses that young men are known for selling in the Charleston area. A trade that goes back to slavery times. Now you have to have a permit for like the last 10 years. This is not a new development. The last 10 years, you've had to have a permit to sell these roses on the side for these young men. There's a program that they have, the artisan program that these young men can get into to get their permit for free. Gives them training, and it gives them a kiosk on the market downtown where they can sell their roses. This young man was not in the kiosk. This man did not have a permit. Young man didn't have a permit. The police came because it's been a rampant issue. There's been an issue downtown. But thank you so much, Buquila. I hope that I pronounced that correctly, Miss Irvin Cannon. Wow, thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. This young man was accosted by a police officer because he did not have a permit. When he was accosted by the police officer, he tried to run. When he tried to run, he ended up getting into an altercation with the police officer. He got to a fight with the police officer. When he was fighting the police officer, he ended up on top of this young man, on top of the police officer. And then, hey, Grandma. And then there was a gentleman who pulled the young man off of the police officer. Now, when the gentleman who was a Caucasian man, which is another thing I'm going to talk about later on in my later on in this spiel, when he pulled him off, somebody took a picture of the young man being pulled off of the police officer. And there was a caption that was put out there that said, "This young man is being strangled by a white man while the police get there," which was completely untrue and unfounded. So I want to start from there. This social media thing can be really dangerous. It can be really dangerous because, one, the guy wasn't choking out the kid. He was not choking out the kid. He pulled the kid off of the police officer, which I don't agree with him touching the kid, but he was not strangling the kid, and he was not like holding him until the police got there. He pulled the kid off the police officer. The police officer can get up. And even since that situation has happened, the kid and his parent has come out and said that they were in the wrong in that situation. So for those who want to dispute whether the young man was in the wrong in that situation, even he and his mother have admitted that they were wrong. I'm the type of person to call a thing what it is. That's wrong. We don't need to be fighting the police, especially with all the stuff that's going on with people getting shot and all that stuff. Like we cannot be advocating for children fighting the police, because I promise you this, if that kid would have been shot, all of us would have been mad. All of us would have been mad. But could we have been? Could we have been mad if a kid attacks a police officer, fights the police officer, and gets shot? All right? Like that's not cool. That's not cool. And I tell my son, like, I tell my son, if something's illegal, you don't do it. I don't care what the circumstances are. You don't do it. You're not going to commit a crime. I don't care how egregious we may think the law is. I'm not advocating for my son to commit a crime. Do you understand me? Black, white, whatever. I don't care. I'm not advocating for my son to commit a crime. Like, that's one. I don't advocate for young men to commit crimes. So when I deal with young men through my mentorship programs and things of that nature, I tell them, if there is something that you're doing or something you're considering doing that will get you in trouble, don't do it. Find another way. All right, so I'm going to say that, and then we'll move on from there. I want to go back to the comments because I saw a comment from my bro James Johnson, who is someone who I respect greatly. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that anybody that comes on Real Talk ReZsaun, I'm going to address you with the level of respect and admiration because you are taking the time to watch my show, and I appreciate that. And I want to make this a discussion. I love discussions. All right, so let's call it what it is. The fact of him being a young black man was a major factor in the outcome. Had it been a Caucasian team, matters would have been handled differently. I agree. So with everything that I've said about the young men being in the wrong for selling without a permit and for attacking the police officers, I will agree totally with that point. If this was a Caucasian young man, we've seen, history has shown us that this will be handled differently. If a Caucasian teen would have attacked a police officer, it would have been handled differently. I also will tell you this, we wouldn't have cared. Right? Like, let's be honest. Can we call a thing a thing? Can we call a thing a thing? Right? Can we call a thing a thing? We wouldn't have cared. If there was a white kid downtown, right? White kid downtown gets into an altercation with a police officer, that wouldn't have made news. We wouldn't be posting about that on Facebook. We wouldn't be saying, oh, we need to approach the police about this. We wouldn't have. So we can say it would be different, but it would be different in so many other ways than just the way it would have went down. If a white kid attacks a police officer and somebody pulls that kid off of the police officer, we wouldn't have cared. And you know how I know that? Because I'm pretty sure that there have been situations where white kids attack police officers. And we know nothing about them. Right? Right? I mean, if I'm lying, somebody tell me. If I'm off base, you can say in the comment section right now, ReZsaun, you're off base, bro. I disagree with you. And I would respect your opinion. I would respect your right to say that. I would respect that. But this is what I know. You see what I'm saying? This is what I know. We wouldn't have cared. How you doing, everybody who came on? What's up, Ken? I see you. What's up, Tyrese? Dwight to the Lakers, huh? Okay. Jarvis, you know what it is. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for watching. This is Real Talk ReZsaun. I'm the host, ReZsaun Lewis. Right now, I'm talking about the kids downtown, the Rose Ordinance. Now, I do think that there are specific issues with that Rose Ordinance that is, I do think that the law was written to target with young black men in mind. With young black men in mind. And I'm going to tell you why that is the case. Because for a while, now mind you, this is not a new ordinance. I want to make sure people understand this. This ordinance that kids can't sell roses without the permit is 10 years old now. It's 10 years old now. Okay? So it's 10 years old now. But before that point, there was a situation where there were young men who were out there selling like without any restrictions. They could walk wherever they wanted. They could do whatever they wanted. And because of that, there was a large issue surrounding crime with these young men. These young men were being robbed by older young men and by adults. There was territorial stuff going on with kids being beat up for being on the wrong block selling, being robbed in those situations. So the city put that ordinance in place to give those kids a safe place to be able to sell those roses. So as somebody who's read through the ordinance, who's read through the language of the ordinance, and who understands the insides, the ins and outs of the ordinance, I agree with the ordinance. I do. Because I understand the aim that it's trying to get. Now the problem is that it is unfair. It's unfair in that it will only impact young African Americans. These are facts. Toya, Randy wants to come out, baby. It will only impact African American kids. And that's the problem with it. So I think that what we can do is look at the ordinance and find out what we can do to help change that ordinance. Now, this is where you have an opportunity to make a change. This is where you have the opportunity to make a change, because guess where they decide on these laws, guys? Before any ordinance is put on the law books. Guess. They vote. They vote like you have the ability to impact that. Do you know that this ordinance was voted on? Like like nobody woke up in the morning and said, you know what we want to do? We want to create an ordinance. Put it out there. Boom. There was no king that did that. It was a council. A council who had to deal with their constituency. The people who elected them. So if they're doing something that the people who elected them disagree with, then the people who elected them have the opportunity to change it. The problem is this, that we as a people, African Americans as a people, largely do not vote. So after something gets put on the books in legislation, and then it starts to impact us, now we want to react. Now we're mad. Now we're mad. Now we want things to change. But you could have stopped it before it even got on the books. They have to propose this stuff at city and county council meetings. The Chamber of Commerce probably has a hand in it. Are you a member of any of those organizations? We have to, when you point one finger, it's 3 more pointing right back at you. Always remember that. All of us. We all have a role to play in this. Do you understand me? So we can sit and get mad because it's impacting us. Or we can say, we can speak with our vote and make sure that people understand that they have to respect our vote. If you have a problem with what's going on in our country as a whole, this is a way to change it. This is a way to impact it. This is a way to make sure that these things aren't happening. All right? Come on, y'all. And I understand, I got a lot of friends, all my friends vote, so shout out to my friends. Pew, pew. But people, I've made this comment and people have told me that it's an oversimplification, but it's true, man. If you don't vote, what are you talking for? Your one chance to affect what's going on in your city, your state, your nation, and you bypass that. But then when you hold a rally, we're supposed to be like, rah, rah, rah. No, I'm not, man. I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. Sorry. James, but bro, isn't that the equivalent of saying that if Trayvon would have been white, we wouldn't have cared? I mean, I get what you're saying, but I disagree with your use of the word we, because we don't all think alike. Agreed, we are not a monolith. We do not all think the exact same way. I agree with that. Some of us simply stand for what's right, regardless of race or any other factor. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Feel me? I definitely feel you, bro. I feel you 135%. You and I would have cared. But a majority of the people who are rah, rah, rah about what's going on with that kid downtown wouldn't have cared if it was a white kid. So it would have been different. It would have been. All right? I'm just saying, y'all. I'm literally, I'm at my wit's end arguing with people who don't even take the time to vote. It takes 10 minutes to vote in a local election. A large election, like the presidential election, a little bit longer, maybe an hour. An hour? Anyway. Mike, what do you say? A lot would have cared about Trayvon if he was white, but the emotional attachment definitely wouldn't have been there. Absolutely, and that actually goes back to a fact. And I'm rolling now, so I'm not cutting. This is a Real Talk with ReZsaun. I'm your host, ReZsaun Lewis. This also goes back to the fact of something I've tried to explain to some of my Caucasian friends. Black people feel ownership for one another. We feel ownership for one another. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? If something happens on television and it's a black person, I personally feel upset by it because that's a representation of me. Caucasians don't see each other in that way, right? They don't. White people don't see things happen to white people and be like, you know what? That's part of my clan. They don't own each other like that. They don't own each other like that. They don't take ownership for the clan of Caucasians like that. Largely because being white, if you understand the history of being white in our country, being white has not always meant the same thing. They've added different races to being white over the last 100 years. If you don't believe me, look it up. It's pretty easy to find. But I mean, shoot, Italians weren't white until the 1950s. I'm just saying. All right. So because of that, white people don't have that attachment to all of their people, to all white people, like black people do. Black people we take ownership. When I see black kids at the pool getting yelled at, I feel like I have to say something. I feel like I have to defend them because they are part of my clan. And that doesn't mean I wouldn't say something if it was a white kid, but I don't feel that pull. Is what I'm saying. And that's something that's largely a black thing. And, as they say on the t-shirts, it's a black thing. You wouldn't understand. But I want you to understand. I want you to understand. I want us to understand one another, right? So with that being said, I want to see change happen for that situation. I want to see change happen by the people standing up and deciding that they're tired of people making laws for them that don't help them. There's a lot of stuff going on downtown Charleston I'm not going to talk about today because that would be a whole nother show. With gentrification and things of that nature that were been in place, that have been like in the making for 20, 25 years. And because we buried our heads in the sand collectively, now these things are coming to fruition. And we're like, well, what do we do? How do we react? Well, we're 25 years too late to react to what's happening right now. Just being honest. But we can start planning for the next 25, right? We can start working towards the next 25, right? And that's what I'm here to do, man. That's what I'm here to do, man. Let me see. Do you also have to say something when you are disappointed? Yeah. Do you also have to say something when you are disappointed with your clan? Definitely. And trust me, if you watch Real Talk with ReZsaun, you know ReZsaun will definitely stand up when he says, in fact, the beginning of this segment was me expressing my disappointment with the part of my clan. With the part of my clan who is doing this thing, in my opinion, all wrong. We're being too reactionary. We have to be proactive as opposed to reactive. We got to vote. We have to go to city council, town council, county council meetings. We have to be in these town hall discussions when they come to our towns. Like it's gotta be more than talk. It's gotta be more than Facebook Live. And I love Facebook Live. Y'all know Real Talk with ReZsaun, Facebook Live all day long. I love it, right? But it's got to be more than this. If I turn this camera off and the only time I had something to say or to do with what's going on in the community is when I turn this camera on or off, then I would expect you to call me a fraud. But those who know me, know ReZsaun ain't no fraud. I'm not a fraud, man. I'm not fraudulent, and I don't deal with fraudulence. You understand me? Like, we got to be more than this. So, yeah, that definitely is that was a big topic for me. I want to go ahead and end the show, and thank you to everybody who's watching. Real Talk with ReZsaun. This is a big deal for me. This show is amazing. This show has been amazing today. I'm going to go into my final segment of the show, which is my parting thoughts, and I want to go back for my parting thoughts to Father's Day, because I didn't do a show on Father's Day because I'm a father, so I was doing my father thing, being a dad. I want to talk about dads. There's a lot of talk about men not being in the home, especially in the black home, in the black community. Thankfully, I never had to experience that. Even though my father never lived in my home, I was never without a father. I never was without a dad. I've always had a dad. My dad was always one phone call away. My dad was always there. My dad was always strength personified. My dad was always amazing. He's always amazing to me. Even when I disagree with what my dad did, in the back of my mind, because of the respect I've always had for my father, it's never been a situation where I could say I don't have a dad. And I think that's the man who is overlooked way too often. You know, we have Mother's Day, and Mother's Day, they have all the songs for moms. We have all the adoration for mothers, deservedly so. But good dads deserve that attention. Good dads deserve that pat on the back. Good dads deserve that acknowledgement as well. And my dad was really special. Recently we got some news, and my dad's been a little sick and stuff, so I want to dedicate this show to my dad. And I want to end by saying, before I, go into my close, that I had the best dad in the world for me. I had the best dad in the world for me. The person that you see before you today would not be here if it was not for Herbert Lee Jenkins Jr. Figuratively and literally. My dad was my first encourager. My dad was the person that would tell me, you're going to be a beast. My dad was the first person to tell me that you're going to be a beast. You're going to change things. You're special. You're going to be able to, like, he gave me all of that. My dad thought I was special, so I became special. My dad told me I was special. My dad told me I was somebody, so I became somebody. So for that, I love you, Dad. You keep fighting. I'm fighting with you. We're all fighting with you. If you believe in the power of prayer, pray for my dad. He's the best. And I love you. I love you. I love you, Pop. All right. With that being said, I'm not going to get all emotional and cry and stuff because I'm a thug and I have a reputation to uphold. So with that being said, I'm going to close. Thank you so much for watching this week. Reminder that the show is now split into 2 parts. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m., I interview my local celebrities, and on Sundays at 7 p.m., I do my normal live show. This week's local celebrity spotlight will shine on Aiken native and a recording artist, national recording artist, Joe Nice. He has a song called "The New Joe Swing." I'm really excited about talking to this guy. I talked to him on the phone the other day. And I'm really excited about getting him on this show. If you are doing something in the community that you would like a light shined upon, please reach out to me on the Real Talk lines at 843-900-6847 or at realtalkwithReZsaun@gmail.com so we can discuss getting you on the show. If you'd like to be made aware of when I go live, because sometimes it is unscheduled, please make sure that you click the follow tab on the page and turn on the notifications so that you will know when something new has been posted to the page. In the meantime, please follow me on social media to stay up to date with what's happening with Real Talk with ReZsaun. On Twitter, I am at Real Talk ReZsaun. On Facebook, I am at Real Talk with ReZsaun. On YouTube, I am at Real Talk with ReZsaun. On Periscope, I am at Real Talk ReZsaun. On Instagram, I am at Real Talk ReZsaun. And feel free to leave comments, questions, and whatever else you'd like to say in the comment section. I love reading your messages and getting your feedback, even if it's negative. I'm currently accepting invitations for speaking engagements and event hosting opportunities. If you'd like for me to speak at or host your event, you can request me through my Facebook page, or you can email me at realtalkwithreZsaun@gmail.com. I want to thank you again for watching the show. We had a great turnout today. If you didn't catch it, please go back to the beginning and watch it. Also, I'm going to post it to my YouTube page. I'm trying to get more followers on my YouTube page. If you're not following me on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. Subscribe. I love you guys. I love your attention. I love your attention. I do love your attention. But I love your energy. I love your feedback. You drive me. You push me. If you bought a shirt, thank you. In closing, always remember that if a man doesn't stand for something, he will fall for anything. Now that is real talk. I'll see you next week. Peace.